Thank you for the wonderful introduction again. I'm always glad when it's the Ethan show. It's always fun. So welcome to part two. I would love to invite Luc Jodet. Luc is the co-founder of Arianee. Please give a round of applause for Luc. Excellent. And do we have Kayla Kane on our video? There she is, Kayla. Wonderful. Thanks for being here. So Kayla is, well, I'll give you the introductions here in a second, but thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about continuing this subject, but really focusing on the NFT side because we have two companies here that are doing amazing things in the NFT space. So to start off with that, I just wanted to kind of go with the introductions, but I originally titled this The Buzz, the Bullshit, and the Business of NFTs, but they didn't publish that, so I guess they didn't want me to use it. But this is about the realistic idea. I'm a no BS kind of crypto person. I think there's a lot of great stuff in the space, and there's a lot of garbage. But we shouldn't throw it all out because some of it's a little bit and so what I love about these two people, what I love about the space, the topics that we can talk about is there are amazing things being done, lots of amazing value being created individually and for large corporations, for consumers. And so to start with that, thought we'd do introductions. So maybe Kayla, since you're joining us here, and I want to give you a chance to jump in because it's always hard whenever it's the duplex thing and people live. Kayla is the marketing manager, I believe, from Holaplex, which creates tools that enable creators to create, market, and sell NFTs. So they create the toolbox of that. You're also the co-founder of Women in NFTs. You want to give just an introduction about what you do?
Hi, yeah, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we're all good.
I can't really see you guys, but give me a thumbs up if you can. It's kind of weird up here, but hi. Yes, my name is Kay. People refer to me as Kay in the crypto world, but my full name is Kayla Kane, and I do work at Holaplex, which is based on the Solana blockchain. We create no-code tools for creators, collectors, and other crypto individuals to utilize within the space. And I am also a co-founder of Women in NFTs, as was mentioned. It was founded last year, and we are a place for women and non-binary individuals to have a safe space to learn and grow within the NFT ecosystem.
Brilliant. Bravo. That's fantastic. And Luc. So Luc is a Clubhouse buddy that I met during the first confinement when I was doing Clubhouse, and when everybody's doing Clubhouse because they couldn't go outside. And so we met because I was doing a weekly thing on blockchain news and things like that. And we finally met actually 2 weeks ago at the Paris Blockchain Week Summit. And it was super great to finally connect. Again, this idea of bridging our digital and physical kind of personas and identities. Somebody who I had gotten to know well, more or less online, and now got to meet there. So I'm glad that he could come. Luc is the co-founder of a project called Arianee, which is a luxury tools or system around the blockchain. I'm going to let you explain better than me because I understand it, but I never seem to pitch it well. You go ahead. Tell us about Arianee.
I mean, the one-liner is we do NFTs for luxury and fashion brands, and we've been doing that for a bit over 4 years now. The original idea was really to use NFTs as a way to create new experiences between brands and the people who own their products. And that's really, so we always, at the core, our idea was how do the NFT facilitate new experiences? So most of our NFTs, actually, we do 3 types of NFTs. One is digital twins for luxury products, or luxury or fashion products. So it's basically a digital passport for your product. Another one is like pure digital goods or collectibles, and that's something that's much more recent, but that's something that really we did not do at all 2 years ago because there was no demand for it. Of course, that has changed tremendously in the last 18 months. And the last one that we do are really like loyalty programs, so NFT-based loyalty programs. And most of our NFTs, as I said, are actually not NFTs that you buy and sell. You could technically do it, it's just there's not really any reason. The real reason why you want to hold that NFT is for the access that you get to the brand. So access to limited drops, access to VIP spaces, to online events or IRL events.
So you've got your Louis Vuitton bag or your Louboutins, and you're able to go to the website and log in because you have the NFT that corresponds to what you have as a physical luxury item.
Absolutely. The entire idea is really use the NFT as a way to prove that you actually are part of the family that the brand is, so
No,
that you
and-
are an actual customer.
It's a brilliant space. Now, I know it's not specifically one of the things you focus on, but one of the other pieces that's really brilliant around luxury and fashion is the supply chain idea of what NFTs and the blockchain can bring, because you need to prove that things are not counterfeited, that they're real. And so that's also a really big problem in this space. And this is another way that that can kind of be used to say, this is the real deal, because it comes with a digital certificate or token that says that it's the real deal.
So we're not an anti-counterfeiting solution, and ultimately there are no perfect anti-counterfeiting solution. We do help because especially when you want to resell in a secondary market like the Real, Vestiaire Collective, or a Watchfinder, for instance, being able to prove that you own the digital twin of the product is important, but it's not sufficient, because I can still come with a digital twin, like an NFT and a fake product, and sell you a fake product. So we still need those platforms that actually have to do the physical check. However, we work with them, and they really love having a customer come with the digital twin, because it really gives them like a first check. It's like, oh, this person is more trustworthy, because at least at some point they really own one of those products.
And so we've jumped into conversations around NFT tools and NFT for luxury and fashion. Maybe let's back up a step, because people, I think, also maybe have lots of misconceptions about NFTs. Maybe they think they're just stupid. Maybe they think it's ugly art on Twitter. Maybe they don't understand it. Maybe they think it's a bubble. There's a lot of potential reasons why some of that's true, but there's also, like I was mentioning just before, a lot of really interesting ways that NFTs can be applied to things. So I'd like to ask both of you to give your definition of an NFT, just to also have that. So Kayla, for you, what is a non-fungible token? What's an NFT?
That's a great question, and I love that you're asking this, because I do think that everybody has a different answer depending on who you ask and in what part of the NFT world they are in. For me, I see an NFT as a digital asset that people can create, buy, or discover that's backed up by proof, and it's backed up by the data on the blockchain. So that would be my simple answer for that.
Luke?
Maybe I'll give several definitions. The most basic or technical level is just a two-column table with a list of IDs and a list of owners. Okay, it's that simple technically. Now, of course, everything when you describe it technically is extremely simple. The question is, what do we actually build with it? So I would then, my second definition would be similar to the one Kay just said. It's something that enables true ownership of a digital asset. So it's a proof of ownership that is decentralized, meaning it's peer-to-peer, because it's on a blockchain. And then the last one I would put, and I think that's the one that actually, and I think to me, that's probably the true definition. The last one is more like the definition that people are starting to put on it. And it's much more emotional. It's less an actual technical or even a socioeconomical definition. It's more like, it is something that I actually enjoy having. It's something that is part of me. Like, for instance, my PFP is a Bored Ape, and I've become actually kind of like
Profile picture.
My profile picture on Twitter, and it's become kind of a part of my identity. And so the NFT becomes something beyond, and it's kind of like that's where the parallel with luxury and fashion become extremely important, because the things you wear kind of say something something about you.
We
and
identify with communities.
Absolutely, and so your NFT starts becoming that same thing. It's part of your identity.
And so most of you were here then for my talk just before, and I really sped through the slide where we talked about a lot of the potential use cases. I'm going to read through a couple of those again and then talk about the use cases with both of you. But this idea of the easy one is digital collectibles. So we obviously see this artwork on Twitter that people are buying, and they want to collect that. Just think of it just like Magic the Gathering cards or Pokemon cards or baseball cards or comic books. These are already individually billion-dollar businesses in paper. Taking that virtual just creates a very similar process of people wanting to have an object that they connect with or identify with in some way. But then there's a whole bunch of other things. That's the intellectual property discussion. Tons of stuff is coming in events and ticketing to make sure that ticket is real, but also to provide you with extra benefits, because that ticket in a digital version allows you access to more interesting stuff. I mentioned the POAP NFT, this proof of attendance protocol that's becoming a very big thing now in the space. People being able to say, I was at an event, whether on an online event or a physical event, and maybe it gets me access to some kind of other benefits, or maybe it's just something I can use to show that I was actually there. Supply chain authenticity, that's a big one. Digital identity verification, and also academic credentials and degrees. We're seeing NFTs be applied to all this different stuff because it allows us to really identify that this thing is real and it belongs to whoever it belongs to. Gaming, fashion, community membership, and then that was kind of the run-through of some of the ideas that I was mentioning before. But I would love to hear, just because each of you is coming at this with different things. So Kayla, for you, what are the use cases that really interest you right now in NFTs? What do you think is cool?
Yeah. I can speak on the Solana side. So at least for our platform on Holaplex, we obviously see a lot of art. It's the main use case for NFTs, especially right now, just because of the value that it brings the creators. Another thing that we've seen a lot is actually NFTs as a service. So there's a lot of creators who've gotten really creative with the way that they've created NFTs, and they are now selling custom pieces as a service, as an NFT, or a day with them to learn about how to make an NFT. They'll mint that as an NFT, as a token of their time. And we're definitely seeing a lot more music NFTs, photography NFTs, 3D animation. There's a lot of really amazing creative people who are getting into the space at this time, and I think we're going to see even more over this next year as there's more mass adoption in the space. And as you were saying, utility for getting into communities, an NFT can mean way more than just a picture. It can mean access to certain people that you want to get to know. It can mean certain alpha that you get on projects, and it can also be a ticket to an event, anything really. Real estate, we're seeing so many things, it's crazy. I learn something new every week.
It's a brilliant space. Yeah, it's full of passionate people because it's a passionate subject, because it's also intellectually, there's just so many ways this is being applied and really growing and doing cool things. You mentioned Solana, so just because I always want to make sure that we don't assume that our audience is blockchain friendly. Solana is an up-and-coming, very popular blockchain that is used for a lot of NFT stuff now and for other projects. Ethereum is where most of this stuff is at currently, but this will be in other places. There are reasons why, mostly the fees of actually the transactions of doing stuff on Ethereum, that are causing people to use other blockchains as well. Right now, the primary two you would see are Ethereum and Solana, because these NFTs, these tokens, because they exist as an individual ledger item, as you mentioned in this database kind of version of this book of entries, that exists on a blockchain. And so Ethereum and Solana are your main two ones. You also used a great word, alpha, and this is a very NFT and crypto world that we're going to see used in a lot of other things, but it's a brilliant word for you to learn because it's a great concept. Alpha basically means like all that kind of like inside information about what's cool and what's coming next. So you need to know about this. So did you hear about the alpha? Are you in the club that kind of gets alpha on these cool projects or whatever? So these are great words and really interesting subjects to talk about. So obviously fashion, because that's what Arianee does, but use cases for you, what are you excited about?
Well, the use case really that has the most growth for us over the last year has been NFT-based loyalty programs.
Okay.
So once again, not necessarily NFTs that you buy and sell, but NFTs that you collect, like your POAP, basically. Proof of attendance. It's something that says, oh, I actually met Ethan at TechChill, and that's something that is kind of a quote-unquote loyalty program. And so for brands, what does it mean? It's like, for instance, we just launched the IWC loyalty program with NFTs, and when you come in the store, you can actually get an NFT. And even if you didn't buy a watch, you still leave with a piece of the brand. And maybe if you come to another store later on, you get another one, and that actually gives some kind of information to the brand that says, oh, this person actually is someone that has some interest for the brand, and we should invite them to like a VIP event or other things. So that's something that we're extremely interested in, and which is seeing tremendous growth. The second one that I think is a really cool application of NFTs is what Breitling did with us, where they integrated their NFTs into their e-warranty system. And so if you need your watch to be serviced, or there's an issue with your watch, traditionally the way it works is you just enter email password, and we ask you a bunch of personal questions, like the maiden name of your grandmother and where did your last 5 addresses. Here, none of that information. The only thing you can still do it, but you can also just sign with your wallet and prove that you actually own a Breitling watch because you have the NFT. And then we don't ask you for any information. You just go straight to the warranty system and start talking with a customer support agent. That's really important for them because first they need to make sure that there's a real human being on the other side and that they're not being attacked. But they just need to know that it's a real human being. So if you can prove that you actually own and you're a real customer, so if you can prove that you actually really own their product, it's sufficient for them. But it's important for them to introduce this because this idea of privacy, which is becoming extremely more and more in demand by customers, is something that has historically been really important in the luxury industry. They usually call that discretion rather than privacy. It's like when you get out of a fancy store, usually you come out with a little bag that doesn't look like anything because discretion is extremely important for the luxury industry. And here they want to put it back into the digital world and using NFTs, which are bearer bonds where you don't actually have to prove your identity, is one of the ways you can do it online.
And so again, this idea of your crypto wallet as your new unique identifier, like your email address or your phone number, the ability for you to be identified, and not necessarily identified personally, but just to know that it's you. Now, there's lots of people that make a lot of money in NFTs, for example, and you see them on Twitter talking about what they do, and nobody knows who they are because it's crypto. So they've got an NFT as their photo, they've got a pseudonym for their name, and they're doing all this stuff very publicly, but nobody would know who they are because technically it is anonymous in that sense. And so that's a whole other discussion about the anonymity and privacy of specific blockchains. But my point there is that we will see all these things where your crypto, without having to provide other identifying information, simply your crypto wallet address that holds that asset is your ID. I think that's really fascinating for this particular space. I think it's always really interesting when we look at, sometimes people especially in the crypto space, but now with these new things around NFTs and social tokens, are maybe thinking, well, yeah, but is that really going to work? Will people really do it? And what's amazing is most of the things we're talking about already have very successful non-crypto, non-blockchain, non-NFT things. You already have airline miles. You already scan a little card when you go buy your groceries. You already do all these rewards things to be able to collect value because you engage with a brand repetitively. And so that, in this case, is already something that we're doing. NFTs are just an evolution of how we technologically deal with that. And so much true for so many of these other things.
And maybe one important thing is a big part of our job is actually to create interfaces that make it very easy for the average luxury and fashion customer to use NFTs, meaning 99% of the people in the luxury and fashion customers do have no idea how to use MetaMask, do not necessarily have an extreme interest in using it. So if you want them to use NFTs, it has to be as easy as using any other app.
Please install Chrome. Please download MetaMask from a trustable source.
None of that with us. We do provide a wallet, like an app that is non-custodial, but is really easy to use, and you do not have to save your 12 words and blah, 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 blah. But that's super important. It is extremely important because if you want to bring the masses, at some point you have to make it very easy. I mean, I usually do a parallel between, because people are like, oh, it's so complicated to use crypto. It's like, or Web3 tool. It's like, I agree. Today it is complicated and you need to spend some time. This being said, I remember setting up my first email address when I was in my teens and I had to enter the POP address, the IMAP, the SMTP, and all that by hand, and it was somewhat complicated. Yeah. And then Gmail comes around and in 3 clicks you have an email account. And that's where we need to go. We need to go towards the Gmail solutions so we have many more people that not need to deal with 12 passphrases of 12 words.
Coinbase's IPO was reflective of the point of maybe it's not the best technology solution for buying and holding securely your crypto, but they made a fortune and built this amazing company and had this huge IPO simply because you can go download the app, use your credit card, buy some Bitcoin or Ethereum, send it to someone else, receive it from someone else, and understand nothing about how any of that works. And that on-ramp is very valuable. And so that is a huge problem in the Web3 space, but we are, again, very rapidly getting over that. So let's maybe use that as a great way to come back to Kayla, because you are building tools to help creators create their NFT. And the process of when you create an NFT collection and you launch it, we call that minting, because it doesn't actually exist technically on the blockchain usually until somebody creates it with that interaction. That's called minting. But you're doing that process, you're doing the marketing and the sales of all of that. Maybe tell us a little bit about how you do what you do. What is your approach? What are these tools?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I absolutely love what you guys are talking about. Mass adoption is key, and absolutely the way to do that is finding less barrier to entry. And that's exactly what our company at Holaplex, that's our exact goal with building the no-code tools, is because obviously, like myself included, I don't know how to code. I have zero development skills, and a lot of artists don't either. And so that was a huge barrier for people getting into crypto and NFTs, and especially we started last summer, so very early for Solana NFTs. And creators are there to create. You know, they're not, they don't have, like, we should allow them to do what they do best, and they should be creating rather than trying to learn Rust or whatever development languages that are required to create a store on the blockchain. So that was the main catalyst for us creating these no-code tools, and we now have marketplaces as well that brands and companies and DAOs can build on their own. So there's different hierarchies in which that people can utilize the platform, which is amazing, and it's been great to see because there are creators who are full-time doing this, and this is their job, and it's really inspiring to see people really take hold of their lives and be able to do things the way that they want to do without asking anybody else for permission. It's permissionless art, and that's the way that it should be.
Yeah, and this is, you know, for visual artists that were, you know, during the pandemic, galleries obviously were not open. We weren't necessarily going out to do any of that kind of stuff. So the commerce side of art, visual art, was, you know, just stopped. But also, that's actually a fairly walled garden space for most visual art anyways, that a lot of visual artists can't monetize or make money. So NFTs were a way for people to be able to do that, and that's how we really saw a lot of that early scale with the visual side of NFTs, I think really pushed by the fact that artists were able to build something while they had to be at home, while everybody was at home. But now the next wave that's coming of really cool things right now is music NFTs. And this is something I think that you'll be seeing a lot more of. If you've been seeing anything, if you've been watching NFTs at all in terms of the visual art side of this, you're going to be seeing a lot more stuff where, like, Spotify is working hard on this idea. Maybe the NFT will come with your ticket to a concert, and with that NFT, you're able to download special tracks or something like that. Maybe it's because when you buy the song, you get that. Maybe it's because you participate in the community, and so you get an NFT that gets you special access on Spotify or on their website. But all kinds of this, again, this token-gated idea. We're going to have all kinds of content and access baked into the fact that you have an NFT related to a musician. It's not necessarily the music itself that will be an NFT, although that would be possible. It's going to be the extra stuff that you get that goes with it. So yes, please, Luke.
No, and I think on music also you should not forget, beyond utility, there's also just it's an equivalent of merch. It's like when you buy a t-shirt at a concert of your favorite band, you buy it because you want to wear it, you want to show it because you like the band, because you want to support the band. And I'm always amazed by the fact that vinyl, like so many people actually buy those vinyl, not really to listen to them, because ultimately it's better to have it on a high quality MP3, but just to put it in a frame, put it on the wall. And so one of the questions with those music NFTs are also going to be like, in which spaces can I display, you know, the fact that I enjoyed this this band and I enjoyed enough that I bought one of their NFTs? And that's where, of course, the question of metaverses, but also how do you display it on Instagram, on Clubhouse, those other proto-metaverse is going to come handy and become really interesting.
So we've talked about really the coolness of this and a lot of the opportunity of what's coming, but so a lot of the stuff that goes up sometimes comes back down. There's been some interesting things. There's been a lot of money thrown at this, potentially not for all good things. There's obviously been some bad actors in the space. There's obviously also, when we talk about the corporate side of this, brands that are trying to engage with these tools that maybe don't get it right or don't follow through. For the next two questions, I'd kind of like to focus maybe on this idea of what do you do after you launch something? What do you do once you've launched that NFT? Where does that go? So, Kayla, what are your thoughts about? Because again, you have this marketing and sales suite as well, so you're not just the creation side of this. And so, for you, what's that cycle of? So maybe you've even sold the whole series, so it's sold, but that's not the end. What comes next after the NFTs are in people's hands?
Yeah, it's a great question. And if it's not a rug, which is another term in crypto for a project that just basically flips for money. So if it's not a rug and they're like actually true to what they intended to do and they sell out of their collection or whatever NFTs that they're trying to sell, a lot of projects have roadmaps, and that's typically where people will engage with their audience. So on the roadmap, we're gonna be offering this utility to our holders. And then the next step on the roadmap is we're gonna have a space in the metaverse. So there'll be a process for a project or company that will follow along with their community. And something that's really interesting too in crypto that we see a lot is building in public, which is a very unique take on building business. So what that is building with your community. You let them know what stages you're in, and you're very transparent about where you are in the process. So yeah, there's airdrops. People will send NFTs to holders as well, get them different access to different communities. There's a lot of different ways that you can run that, but they usually have a plan that's called a roadmap.
So Luke, specifically because you work with a lot of brands that are leveraging NFTs for the rewards programs or these other aspects around fashion or other things, for you, what's next after that happens?
So I mean, that's really when the real work starts, because minting an NFT ultimately is very simple. I mean, it's especially because you have tools like Kay's tools or our tools to facilitate the production. But then once you've dropped it, of course, that's the question. And what we have is, as I said, three main products. The digital twin, which enables really to be a way to track all or what happens to your product and to be able to interact with the brand. We have the digital fashion, where here a lot of it actually ultimately enables you to bring your product into metaverses. We have an integration with the Sandbox we just announced a couple weeks ago, but also working with some social networks to be able to show that you actually own this product. And the loyalty program is always the same thing. It's like access to VIP events, to specific drops, to chats. We have like token gated chat, the token gated chat platform we created called Speakeasy, and all this is really all the different things that all the new experiences you can actually enable thanks to an NFT. And that's the core of what the brands are working on, is really building all that utility around it. And for brands, they don't necessarily call it a roadmap because they don't necessarily want you to know everything they're going to do. But that's what they drop constantly, is all the different things that happen.
So this is a fast-moving space. Like I tell people all the time, in crypto or blockchain, now the Web3 subjects, if you are here listening to this, you're still ahead of most everybody else. It's not too late. It's definitely still early. So what that means, all kinds of cool stuff's coming. So what are you excited about? What do you think the next 6 months, next year and a half will bring to us in the world of NFTs? Kayla?
That's always a hard question. I feel like that's a very popular question to ask, and my safe answer is always, who the heck knows? Like, it's so hard to determine where this is going to be going. And my hopes for the future of NFTs is, obviously, as infrastructure is built out more in the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of changes happen, and with that, more adoption as it becomes more simple for people to join the movement. I'm personally very excited about the social factor of all of this. I think that there is a lot of platforms being built around the social aspect. So having decentralized social platforms is going to be really interesting to see. And I think as far as NFTs go, music NFTs are going to be popping off. I think that photography NFTs are getting really popular. And one-on-one art is really popular as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. Luke?
So I'll have to say the same thing as Kayla. It's like, I don't know. I did not see the 2021 NFT craze come. I'm quoted in CoinDesk in March 2021, right after the Beeple sale, saying that this is a bubble and it will come down at some point. but let's be clear. We've been doing NFTs for 3 years, and after the bubble is passed, we will still be doing NFTs. And don't discard the NFT just because of a bubble. The bubble still hasn't popped. It's still going strong. I will reiterate what I said over a year ago. At some point, this thing is going to come down a little bit. But just like the dot-com bubble in 2000, if you've invested in Amazon at the peak of the bubble in 2000, yes, you were not doing well 2 years later, but you're doing a multiple today because the core technology is extremely valuable and will continue developing. And then more specifically to us, a really interesting thing is bridging the digital and physical world. Really, how do you use NFTs in the physical world as well? Because Clubhouse is all nice and dandy, but I still like this discussion better than Clubhouse, quite honestly. And the other one, of course, the metaverse or metaverses. I think we're still quite a few years, early for metaverses, but there are a lot of development that are interesting. We'll be up at 4 a.m. on Sunday to buy some land on the other side, which is the Bored Ape Yacht Club metaverse, and so I'm really interested in it, even though I think we're extremely early still in the metaverse.
Thank you both for those answers. And I was at a startup event in Helsinki in December and got the chance to speak with the founder of Supercell, which is the company behind a $16 billion gaming company behind Clash of Clans and all those kind of things. And NFTs are going to come big, digital assets, and all of that's going to come big to the whole gaming space. And I asked him, what do you think about NFTs? And he said, and I think this is a great way to wrap all this up, he said, I think people are dramatically overestimating the importance of NFTs in the short term and dramatically underestimating them in the long term. And so I will leave us with that and thank our wonderful guests for taking the time to chat with us. Kay and Luke, thank you so much for your time. And a round of applause for them for being here. Thank you. Thank all of you as well for being here early after your night of karaoke and Jameson. And thank you again to the wonderful TechChill team for your welcome and this wonderful event. Thanks, everyone. So Luke and I both will be around, I think, today. Please do stay for the next people speaking, but if you do want to chat with us, we will be outside wandering around as well. Happy to meet with you. So thank you so much. Have a great day.